We're here at AQS Quilt Week Fall Paducah, and I'm here with another one of our winners, yes. Lise Belanger from Quebec, Canada, and you won the Gammill Quilting Machine's Best Wall Quilt.
Yes, I did.
Now this is no stranger to you because you won the same award last year,
yes,
didn't you?
Yes, I did. I know. It's an honor, and it's such a. I've been pinching myself ever since.
Well, and you know what? The odds of that happening are low because, first of all, the first place winners were chosen by 3 judges, and then the public voted.
Yes.
So you obviously chose subjects for your quilts that the public really likes.
Yes, because being in Quebec also, it was really complicated for my friends to vote. I had to translate everything and give them instruction. so it's just like, for me, it's amazing that I actually got here, really.
Well, it's a beautiful quilt, and I told you, you need to give this technique a title, so you need to be thinking about that, because tell us what you did starting from the base fabric.
Well, I usually put just a white cotton, and then for everything here, to see the black line, it's just a black solid fabric.
Underneath
when I begin. Mm-hmm. And then I will design all the little, these are all little separate pieces that I have to cut out and match. And what makes the black line here is usually the pattern. I will use a thick Sharpie, and I will mark all my line on the pattern and then trace inside the line, and that gives me that little space, but I do have to readjust a lot.
Okay,
but
and
still.
So you actually did the owl is one piece.
No,
did
everything
is
now the whole thing in one.
Big piece?
I went to the hardware store and got a big 4x8 foam. Took off I used the whole kitchen table for, my husband is not there very often, so.
Okay, well, so you can do that and let it lie there, right?
And move it when I need to.
Well, and I think what's really, you know how to master really well is to shade your fabric so that, like on the owl, it looks round like it would because of the dark shades that you've put on the edges.
Yeah, and that's what makes it very long and complicated sometimes, because you have only so much fabric, and I will have some time to mark on my little piece, light, medium, dark, and then I could be spending 10 minutes sometimes just
trying to find 2 or 3 pieces
and sometimes putting it aside, hoping the fairy will come during the night and create some shading that I can't find.
Okay, because of the shading that you use, you know, sometimes we use like a red glass or a red plastic sheet or a green to be able to get the values right?
That will be before, like when I choose my fabric. You know, I will look if I have some kind, because it's really deceiving sometimes. You think you do with your eyes, and then you look at it happened to me in the last piece I've made, and I went, oh my God, everything's the same. So I had to correct that. Yeah. But the shading is basically going from a dark to a light, and on the same fabric, sometimes I have to go from dark to light, so it just doesn't go too much like I don't know, lines, you know, like it just shades gradually.
Do you use some hand-dyed fabrics where you get that different values?
Yes, when
you can?
When I'm stuck. So I usually don't like to stop and do that, but for the background here, all the blues, I had to do all the dyeing because I could not get something that soft at the store. You know, there's always some kind of marbly.
So tell me how you dyed that.
I just used the how do you call it, the Prismadol?
Procyon dyes?
Procyon dye,
okay.
And just do a whole bunch. That was it, you know, just, I have a little tub, and that's why I don't like, I have a nice bathroom. it's a little messy, and it just, sometimes, you know, you have to be very careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the parts that you did for the background and for the this area that looks like water. Is this what it's supposed to be?
No,
water?
it's actually, well, it could be water,
could be water.
Could be just, just
the
because
landscape.
of the blue, the landscape, and then the castle is sort of on the cliff here. So because it's all blue, it makes it a little difficult sometimes to people get, but there's a road actually, so I guess we'll say it's.
I think one of the things that you used, and they may not notice this if they're looking at it from afar, but she's actually secured the edge and then came in about 1/4 of an inch and did your first row of quilting before you filled it. Boy, does that highlight those shapes.
It highlights the shape, and it also, It also hides that little line that you could see because you overlap your fabric. So it was a
Right.
bit of both, like to
Okay.
get, and you know, the echo always seems to set something.
Yes.
So without doing like 3 lines of echoing, I think just that little line just made it to see each quilting pattern also. It divided that the space.
Well, the question I know lots of people want to know is how long did it take you to make this?
Honestly, I started in January and finished on a deadline. And of course, I had other things to do, but my days are not 8-hour days. So, because I have to live and because I do work, I do quilts, but for sale mainly, and I frame things. But so the show quilt allows me to really go and not stop to, oh no, this is going to cost too much to the customer, right? It's just to
Right.
go and
This
do
is
it.
yours.
But it's a lot of extra work, but I do it at night a lot of time. And yeah, so a lot of work, extra work, but about 4 months. But for about a whole month, I've been designing this in my head and working all the kinks and going, if I do this, okay. So by the time I'm ready, usually it's no brainer. But I don't know where I'm going. Like the back here, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. But that's why I built all this first. It was easier to have an idea what the back will look like, how I could work it out. So, yeah, so.
Well, it's a beautiful piece and well deserving of being our Gammill Quilting Machine's best wall quilt for the 2nd year in a row.
I know.
And so that means you have $11,000 now that you got for
Yes,
this award.
and that's going to make, you know, give me the chance to keep going. And when I say that, I just get like emotional because it really is, it means the world to me.
Well, and so we do thank our sponsors, don't
Oh
we?
God, yes. And they actually make cards out of my quilt, so they're going to get a new cards this year.
Okay, good.
So they'll get the cards of the quilt with a thank you note, so which is kind of nice.
Well, thank you for sharing
You're
information
welcome.
about your techniques, and thank you so much for entering again.
Yes.
And you know, you can enter AQS Quilt Week too. The rules for 2019 are currently on quiltweek.com. Just click on the contest button and scroll down to the 2019 rules. We hope we'll see you either entering a quilt or coming to see us at an AQS quilt show.